Let's head into the Telegraph and talk about the future of the former Liverpool captain Jordan Henderson. An exclusive in that paper from Sam Wallace and Matt Law saying the Saudi and Al-Ettifaq didn't pay Jordan Henderson a penny of his reported £350,000 a week salary during his time over there. A similar story at the back of the Sun. Taxi for Hendo. Jordan set to quit Saudi without taking a penny. Martyn Ziegler, this move for Henderson, morally, financially, it appears to be a huge waste of time and money the last 6 months for him.
Yeah, I mean, a great story there by Sam Wallace. It sounds like he has deferred the money that he was something like £350,000 a week for tax reasons, because he wasn't going to be able to benefit from the tax-free status until this coming April. So he's effectively sacrificing all that money because he hasn't been paid any of it yet, and he's had to do a deal to get released by the Saudi club Al-Ettifaq. So I think there's now question marks of whether he'll get any money at all for playing in Saudi Arabia. So what an incredible position that will be in after everything he's sort of given up, moved over there from England, and now he's come back heading perhaps to Ajax. And yeah, it's just a remarkable turn of events.
It's really interesting as well, Craig, and hopefully one day we will find out what the biggest motivator is for him returning, whether it's Gareth Southgate has said, look, if you carry on in this league, you're not going to the Euros, whether it is the quality of life. There were talks about the humidity last week, whether it's something else, but it'll be interesting to know what the driving factor ultimately was.
Well, listen, I've spent time in Saudi Arabia. I've spent time in Riyadh, and yes, I found it different to what I expected in terms of the people were very welcoming, and I enjoyed my week there. Would I want to live there beyond that? Could I see myself moving there as a career? No, I couldn't. And Jordan Henderson is a guy from the northeast like myself, probably not too dissimilar in terms of our backgrounds. And yeah, this has been rumbling for a little while now. I remember being around the England camp in October and November time, I think it was, and there was word coming out then that Henderson wasn't happy in Saudi Arabia, and there were agents on his behalf making representations to Premier League clubs to see if anything could be possible in January. And you mentioned there what was the reason, Rob. Well, I think it was a real culture shock for him and his family. He's got young children. They weren't actually in the end. They didn't settle in Saudi Arabia. They lived over the border in Bahrain. So he was having to travel into Saudi. He's playing matches which very quickly you realise there's not that degree of importance or cachet attached to them in front of less than 1,000 supporters at a time. And he'd given up a club like Liverpool where he had built a real legacy. And the thing is, I know people who were close to Jordan Henderson who had warned him about this, that he risked tarnishing a reputation as a good person. I'm not saying he's not a good person anymore, but he had been a great supporter of many great causes. He'd won the Champions League with Liverpool. He'd won the Premier League with Liverpool. His legacy was assured, and the only person who didn't seem to have the benefit of foresight, even though some around him did, was Jordan Henderson himself. And it's taken him, sadly, 4 or 5 months to realise that now. And, as the Telegraph story outlines, not that I've got a great deal of sympathy for him in terms of missing out on that money, but it just shows, it serves to highlight what a mess it really has become. And, in some ways, credit to him for admitting to that and foregoing the money and looking at his career and coming back and starting again at a club like Ajax. So I do wish him good luck, because I think he's made a mistake, but fundamentally, I think there is a good guy in there.
Martyn, it's a sort of game where word travels fast in football. Do you suspect that Jordan Henderson's experience will stop other players, even if they are in the twilight of their career, from making that move, despite the riches on offer in Saudi Arabia, to go out and play there?
I certainly think for perhaps other English players are certainly going to be deterred from going there now. I think people who who come from other countries who are more used to the sort of living in a different environment, they might find it easier to adapt. But I certainly think for a lot of English players, they will definitely have second thoughts.